Hey guys, Tebow here. Today I got to look at the Kaiser for you. Tier 3 German Battleship. It'll be coming out on Monday. Here's a look at my hipper build. It will be boosted to 11, so once the German Battleship's fully released, we'll be taking a closer look at both celiacs and hippers, so stay tuned for that. I was planning on buying the 14 days of premium time with my thalers that I had saved up, but then I figured I might as well just buy a year's worth of premium. So I spent all my thalers on the small German crates. I think I had enough for like 18 of them. And I wound up with one ship, the Kaiser, which I would have gotten on Monday anyways. So that was a bit of a bust. But it did let me get a look at the ship early, put the XP on it so I'll be ready to go for the Koenig when the line drops. And keep in mind the cruisers of France will be dropping the same day, so I'm planning on streaming that day unless I have to go into work, but I think I can get that day off. I might do 2 streams if possible, one for the German battleships, one for the French cruisers. Stay tuned, I'll have some more announcements for that stuff coming up as time goes forward here. The Kaiser though, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot out of this ship to be honest with you, but I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. For a Tier 3 battleship, and especially for a Tier 3 German battleship, I mean, the guns seem fairly accurate. Now, I do have Von Hipper, who boosts accuracy, and level 10 is a fairly advanced commander level, especially for Tier 3. So comparing it to, like, an American battleship, which the Wyoming, the New York, those are kind of the quintessential inaccurate early line battleships in my mind. But I've always had Dewey. Now I have Lee. Neither of them increased the accuracy whatsoever, so maybe those ships are a little bit better with sims in terms of accuracy. But this ship, you can see, I mean, this Arctic map, it's not a long-range map, but we're landing shots. They're going pretty much where I'm aiming them. I mean, compared to, like, Scharnhorst, Grafspee, I mean, these guns seem a lot more accurate to me. Now, you'll notice there's 4 turrets on the side, and there's a 5th turret that's staggered. If you're fully broadside, you can get all 5 guns on the target. But like the Wyoming, like the New York, I think that's kind of a trap that you don't want to fall into necessarily. You'd rather angle your ship. Once in a while, you'll happen to be broadside, and you can fire off that 5th gun. But don't make that the priority. You know, obviously this is a low-tier game, so you don't have to play textbook perfect in terms of angling and stuff like that to have a good time. Now here's this Tenryu. I don't know a whole lot about this Japanese cruiser, but I do know that he gone in one shot. So that's apparently the Kaiser plus Tenryu equals fun for me and no fun for him. I mean, the guns, yeah, the guns for Tier 3 are pretty damn good, to be honest with you, and I've been having a lot of fun blasting these. A lot of these low tier, if you get Tier 2, 3, if that's your matchmaking, most of the ships are cruisers. You'll get like 1 or 2 battleships. Now this game, you'll see they have a fair amount of destroyers. They have 3 or 3 on their team, 3 on our team. But this Arctic map, I really like it. I like these low-level maps that have a lot of these low islands that serve as sight blockers, but you can still shoot over them. I wish they'd have more high-tier maps that had lower islands like this. This, I mean, you'll see an example here. Like this Phoenix keeps coming in and out of vision, so he's briefly detected, then undetected. But we do get enough time to pull off a shot there, and that was a quick kind of a rush shot, so we weren't able to line it up perfectly. But I mean, there's not a lot of tactic, there's not a lot of strategy at this tier. You can see my entire team has gone to the right. Their entire team that we can see is mostly in their base, kind of pushing off to the west. There's a couple of destroyers that aren't accounted for, though, so that's potentially a bit of a problem. And here's another look at the accuracy of these guns. Like this Phoenix, you know, I'm not even really able to fully aim in the shot, but those shots are going pretty much where I'm aiming them. So I mean, Scharnhorst, I mean, granted, small map, it's not huge distances. Maybe that's factoring into it, but I feel like this ship's a little bit more accurate than some of the higher tier battleships. We'll see when the full line comes out. But obviously destroyer number 1 pops up on the screen. Now I am reacting to him, but I can't get my guns towards him anyway, so I'm just going to take another shot in the meantime. But I am, you can see on the diagram of my ship, I am turning towards that, I believe it's an Isikaze that was last spotted. You know, I mean this ship actually absolutely wrecks these broadside cruisers, which again, low tiers you're going to see a lot of. Now this Isikaze was just kicking it. I think he had a couple fishing lines in line. Shot his guns though, which a lot of them do become detected. And you'll see there in the diagram, I'm fully broadside. Here's where we get all 5 guns. Again, that's not something you necessarily want to generate, but when it's available, you know, that's how it lines up. And obviously I lined up the shot behind him and missed all of them, so that's a bit of a problem. But a lot of times what you can do is fire your 4 guns and then look for a target that lines up with that open gun on the opposite side. Maybe, you know, in this case I think it would normally be to the right of what you're aiming. If you're angled towards a target, typically it's going to be to the right. And, you know, you can switch back and forth, fire your 4 guns, line up the other shot with that last turret, fire those 2 guns, and then rinse and repeat. Keep that in mind, but in general, it's not worth going fully broadside just to get 1 more turret in there. You'd rather maintain your life and your longevity. You're going to get a lot more damage staying alive. Here's the other destroyer. Here, this little German guy. And here's a bit of a problem. I mean, I think for the most, the rest of the game that I'm alive here, I'm going to be dueling these 2 destroyers, 2 or 3 destroyers. And this is kind of how you want to do it in a battleship, but, well, this isn't how you want to do it. You don't want to turn broadside into incoming torps, but we'll take a look at some examples here. Here I was kicking through the turn, I think I was trying to turn away from that destroyer is what was going through in my mind. About to get into a collision with this guy, but he like blew up right when he touched me, it looked like when I was playing. I thought for a second that I did something to him, but it looked like he died from a flood. But at this point I'm committed to sailing away from these 2. Now what that does is destroyers that are behind you, in other words, if you're sailing away from them, they have to get very close to you to torp, especially these low tier destroyers with small torp ranges. But even higher tier ones with like 8-10 kilometers, if you're sailing away from them, that adds 2, 3, 4, 5 kilometers, whatever it is, it depends on your ship and your speed, to the distance that torp has to travel to reach you, because you're constantly outpacing those torps. Now, even though they're faster than your ship, eventually they'll catch up to you, but because of the limited range on those, they have to essentially reposition and get in front of you, like this Isikaze. That V-170 or whatever it is behind me can't really torp me from back there, you know, assuming I'm sailing in the straight line. I didn't expect this guy to cut in front of me like that. That was actually a pretty good move. But here's what when you're dealing with these close range destroyers, you see I'm just cutting it as hard right as I can here. So I'm essentially sailing in a circle. And a lot of times, until players get more experience at leading torps off at the indicator, if they're just purely aiming at the indicator and you're in a hard turn like that, you can actually miss quite a bit of them. Now, you know, I haven't let up the turn the entire time. You see we missed 1 more salvo. He finally wises up there. It gets really close. I mean, at that range, it was becoming increasingly difficult for him to miss. Now you see there, I briefly was trying to see if my guns could catch up to him, but it's impossible, they can't. So I mean, that was just kind of a boneheaded play. But what I want to be doing here is flip the guns back towards this V-170 and angle away from the Isikaze. The Isikaze, I don't know what his reload is, but I do know it's very quick. It's probably 30-40 seconds, something like that. So you do need to be very aware of that. And same play here, V-170. I should just be cutting it in the same circle I was doing earlier. Now I'm not quite as close. That's primarily a close range tactic to counter destroyer torps. But here I'm just attempting to slam on the brakes. We missed the majority of the torps, but he does catch this with 1. So all in all, though, we do get the Kraken and a whole bunch of other medals. And, you know, for a tier 3 battleship, especially a Tech Tree one, you know, excluding the Arkansas, which is still the king in my opinion, this probably is the best tier 3 battleship. Maybe you could throw in the Ishizuki into that conversation, but I probably think the Kaiser takes the cake. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the line plays here, and we'll be checking it out here in just a handful of days. So looking forward to that. That's it for this one, though. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. You guys know I love to hear from you. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.